Hiya folks, my name is Adam and I like to make tiny paleo nerdy things. And today we're making Pinacosaurus. I'm doing an armature. And there are two reasons for this. Those are 1, less clay, and 2, structure and support. Pliers are useful. Alright, it's time for one of my favorite parts, the bulking of the model. There are 3 reasons to bulk with tinfoil. Number 1, less clay. Number 2, structure and support. Kind of hard to shape, and it's relatively inexpensive as compared to sculpey. And number 3, layers of thick clay don't really cure properly, whereas tinfoil doesn't really need to cure, it can just be held in place by the clay once it's cooked. And so you use that. Now, you have to remember to crinkle up your tinfoil because this holds clay better due to its rough texture. It is time for feet. Yes, the meat slabs on which terrestrial vertebrates stand. The ornithischian foot condition is quite odd. Actually, you know what? All dinosaurs' foot condition is quite odd. I mean, look at a bird's foot. Now, for most of the quadrupedal dinosaurs, the 4-footed ones, walked on all fours, no little hands going around, they had very weird foot conditions. Little crescents. It's lesser so in the Ankylosauria, but still kind of present. They've just tilted it better. And as for another group of large, iconic quadrupedal dinosaurs, drop that. The sauropods are in a league of their own for foot weirdness. Their front hands are just not identifiable as a foot. It's just a pillar. It looks quite similar to just a rod going straight up with a slight elbow bend. Also in Archosaurs, the last two fingers in the hand, or maybe the first 2 fingers, depending on how you look at it, have been heavily atrophied. They don't carry any claws. It's only the last 3 over here that are clawed, and that's why they're much bigger. They have a hoof to support the weight. Alright, so I'm just going to beef up the ankles right here. I already done it for the other side. You just need to roll out a little sausage of clay, put it on the back of the foot. Make sure you don't squish it around too much because the foot is mostly clay. Like, you just can't put tinfoil on that correctly. Then you just smooth it out on both sides until it looks good. For musculature, use references. Like, if you're going for anything that's supposed to mirror a real-life style or accuracy, use references. Now, what I have pictured here, you can see this muscle in the Dragon of Doom's Gastonia art, musculature diagram of Gastonia. That's also an ankylosaur. It's not the closest relative of Pinacosaurus. It's not remotely close. It's pretty far diverged. But it's an ankylosaur, and that gives me a rough idea of what goes where. I have a link to her DeviantArt page. Never interacted with her. I just googled images, and that's what you can do to find references. Like, you can just Google musculature diagrams. Now, Googling for these diagrams can be somewhat difficult. Just type in whatever you're searching for the muscular diagram for, and you'll probably find it. I wouldn't trust for like niche dinosaur types like Therizinosaurs or something. For that, you'll just have to use basic theropod. So for niche dinosaurs, you're probably not going to find it. But for like the whole broad group, you're probably going to find something. All right, for scale application, trypophobia warning here. If you have trypophobia, this is perfect for you. Tons of tiny holes on the scale pusher. And you can just press that in ever so gently to the model. You can get a scaly texture. Now, I recommend you do this with a rather light touch, because if you indent it too much, you kind of ruin the curvature of whatever you were doing. Now I'm going to show you how to make one of these scalers. Roll out a small clay sausage, then just smoosh the bottom into a domed shape, something like that. And then you're going to take your smallest pin tool, because dinosaurs have very, very small scales, less than a centimeter wide for some, even though they were enormous, and you're just going to poke it like that. Now, I had mentioned a dome shape because if it's concave, it's going to leave a domed negative trace on your model. But if it's domed, then it'll leave a concave trace on the model, which is generally the curvature of muscles. Time for some integument here. So I've rolled out little clay balls for the osteoderms, and you just take a little tool like this, preferably a ballpoint, because that'll give it some natural looking growth around the sides. You just smooth that down, make it look like it's grown, it has been weathered and creviced. I'm going to show you how to make it look more real. Alright, so it seems like ornithischian dinosaurs would have had a more crocodilian belly scale type. I'm going to show you how to do that. You're going to take a wedge silicone shaper, or like an edge tool, but I'm going to use a silicone shaper for this. And you're just going to do it in relatively consistent lines along the belly. You get this cool looking pattern. And then you can get that into subdivisions by doing a midline. And here's how to get the more scale looking scales here. In between the rows, you set up a lot of lines. You just do that. Much in the same vein as how I make the scale pushers, I make eyes. What I mean is it's like somewhat unconventional, but it works. And you just keep cutting the clay in half until you get two eyes that'll be the right size. As you can see, those two are roughly the same size as the one in the drawing. And it's preferable you have them a little bit bigger, because you're going to give it a little eyelid, which will inevitably make it smaller than it should be. I've also added big rough scales to this one. I see it a lot with Pinacosaurus specifically. I even saw it in prehistoric planets, so I guess it's just a facet of Ankylosauria. And I think it looks cool. I've made it more exaggerated than it was on the original drawing, as you can see right here. Now, I thought for specifically you, dear viewer, I would show you how to create the spikes that I put on the other arm. You just put on a ball of clay and you blend them in. This guy's about to go for a bake, and I just made sure that the arm scutes were symmetrical across the sides, and also that I scaled up his arm muscles right here. Now, when he's done baking, I get to put the club or the head on, or maybe just the body. I'm not sure. See what I want to do. Now, I've had the camera here on for for a while, and I kind of just forgot I was supposed to be filming this, so I've already gotten this far on the head. So I'm going to be doing a better job at documenting the rest of the head. As you can see, I've put some wrinkles on the neck. The other side, which isn't being bunched up, no wrinkles, just muscle. It's a muscly pine cone, that's his name. So yeah. Now we're putting that patented Ankylosaur mustache on him. You a pine cone. Mustache. Now for those weird Ankylosaur nose bumps, image credit to Prehistoric Planet. Here we go. Let's get the other one. Kind of reminds me of a hippo's nose. It's good enough for now. I've rolled out its horns. Straight from the House of Mouse. Now time to turn the horns. Alright, so you're going to take a silicone flattening tool, little shaper right here. You're just going to blend one side in, that way they sit better on the head. Or all sides if you fancy, and then you're just going to start shaping it into a horn. You make it sharper. Just keep poking and prodding and pulling until it's triangular, like my reference image. Alright, so I've taken off the horns because my reference material says that his head's too flat. Time to give him his gigadome. And you just blend that in. His little dunce cap. Cheek horn. Asymmetrical. There, better cheek horn. Now just straighten it out. I'm gonna blend them in. Now it's getting late and I'm getting kind of tired of this, but I needed the chef's kiss for the day. The eye. Now it has personality. So for accuracy's sake, I went and looked up a picture of this thing's skull, which led me down a rabbit hole. So apparently I gave it a very non-Pinacosaur and Ankylosaur face. It looked very generic, and Ankylosaur not so much Pinacosaurus. Pinacosaurus had a sharper lower jaw, as well as much bigger nostrils than I had previously given it, and an even more domed head. So I've fixed most of those issues. Now I just gotta put the mouth back on. There you go. Topper's nose. Look at the derpy dinosaur. I like these guys. The Cretaceous pinecone. Using the image on screen, I'm reconstructing this guy's face. He needs this little scute, and it fell off. As I was saying, he needed that little scute there. And if you're looking for it on the picture, it's the yellow one titled ASO. Or ASO, I don't know. I don't know what those bones are, and I couldn't find the paper this came from. Still gotta blend some of them in, but I have now placed all of the Capituguli, which is the name for the head scutes, on Ankylosaur specifically. It means skull tile. And I still can't find the paper, so I'm just going to refer you to the original channel where I found that. It's in the description. Just click the link, find the video. Unless it doesn't work, then you're just going to have to search up whatever I put next to it. There you go. Alright, so the eyelids for Ankylosaurs are a little bit different because they had bones in them. So they're going to be a bit bigger than anything else. You just take out a small sausage of clay, you roll it out, and you blend the bottom in to the face, leaving the top half to make it look like a lifelike eye. Now here was something surprisingly hard to find. Jugal horn is messed up. Ankylosaur ears. Even Prehistoric Planet didn't dare feature them for some reason. Like, if you look up, like, YouTube videos for, like, compilation scenes of all the Tarchia scenes, or just, like, Google images of their Ankylosaurs, I didn't notice any ears on all of them, and I was looking. Eventually, I found this image. Credit Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. It's also the Pinacosaurus Cayden the zuul. I've linked his video in my description, so you can go watch it, because that's where I stole his image from. Thank you, Andy. Also, referencing the Prehistoric Planet thing here. They had very turtle-like appearances to the top of all their Ankylosaur heads, so that's what I'm trying to smooth out these scales to look like. Very turtle shell-esque. They also had these weird fleshy nose cones on them, which I guess I'm going to do as well. Now time to give him his advanced Ankylosaur breathing holes, otherwise these nose bulges are useless. Hopefully that's symmetrical. Hey, what do you know, it's not even close. So I've taken out some blobs of clay and I just put them on here. Now I smooth out on the sides. And then I have the neck osteoderms, which were really big in this branch of Ankylosaurs. Now I was just going to do the time-lapse, but I wanted to show off part of my process. So I've gotten out just like preliminary osteoderms marking the sides, and I've decided it has 9 rows, but it's only to 8 right now, because there are some big ones that jut off the hip. So there we go. Time to establish a midline for symmetry's sake. This is from my friend. It's a running gag. He does this a lot. I figured I'd kind of prank him with this one. That is not how their armor was arranged. So I've gotten the armor done here, at least for the front half. The back half is kind of weird. It's like half feature scales, half osteoderms. This half is just the rows of 5 osteoderms and the little forecuff on the front. Alright, so I've added the big spiky protrusions by now. And something you're going to want to do is you're just going to want to take this little wire and you're going to want to put it in here, just for support. Now I'm going to put some more clay over it, but this is just going to provide support. I'd bend it to shape myself. Then you just press this end in and get to have fun wrangling this end together while still digging that one. And the reason this is here is because this will droop and then it'll look kind of stupid. So you just want this one to be there. Huzzah, as if magic, the wire is gone. Here's a touch I thought was random but kind of cool. I've seen a lot of Pinacosaurus art that does this, upturned osteoderm plates. I think it looks good, so I'm gonna do that on mine. I don't know the scientific standing on that. And now it's time to do the rest of the back armor. Alright, I'm going to show you guys how to keel this one. And this one has a reduced keel. You're going to want to push it on both sides like earlier. Then you're just going to smooth it around. And you see how those ones are all keeled? It's very much more subtle than the original ones. And you just smooth it around the back. And that's pretty much it. Like, it has kind of the same keel as its brethren in the same row. It's just not fully smoothed in. So just smooth it in and it'll be done. For you, dear viewer, I want to show you how to do those hip folds that you sometimes see on dinosaurs. So you take a piece of clay and you make it into this pyramid shape. And you just wedge it into place and you can blend it on both sides. Do this one first to secure it. And then you can contort this one to your liking. I'm just gonna do it like that. In there. Alright, so I'm just going to make some arbitrary lines to just start drawing kind of an area for it. It's just to give you an idea. This is generally more precise. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to cut these lines in half. And then if that looks a little bit too big in some areas, just cut them in half again. subscribe. Let me know what your favorite dinosaur is down in the comments below.